What's up, guys? Welcome to our channel, Honest Hockey Takes. I am Hohen and this is Scott, and today we will be talking about NHL teams tanking.
Yeah, so almost every year it feels like there's some teams that are out there and they're trying to tank. But you know what I really think? It's shown me something a lot this year from the start to this season, and it's something that I think not enough people realize. And that's that NHL players do not tank games. NHL GMs tank games. So what we've seen a lot so far in the offseason is we saw these teams out there like Chicago and Arizona, and they're going out and they're basically having a yard sale. They're getting rid of almost every player that can do almost anything right, and they're bringing in just any warm body off the street to play the game. But you know what? Some of these players who may not be the best have really done quite well this year.
I think they're motivated because, especially with Chicago Blackhawks, look at all the trade rumors surrounding Patrick Kane. Like, it was endless of trade rumors around him. That must have pissed him off because, he wants to, like he said, he wants to stay in Chicago. He wants to play out his career there, and he doesn't want to get traded. So I think I feel like in the end of the day, hockey players want to win games.
They do, and that's
Right?
the thing. Like, no one cares about these young rookies, like we talked about in our last video, like Mishkov and Bedard and Fantilli. These guys on the bench, they don't give a crap. They want to win the game. Even if they're projected to be the worst team in the league, they still play as if they win the Stanley Cup that year. And Chicago's kind of showing us that right now, along with some other teams that everyone projected to be tanking for the lottery this year. Like, Chicago's starting the season, the first 10 games at 4-4-2 record. That's not bad. That's 10 points in 10 games. That's a really respectable team. For a team that everyone wrote off and said was going to be a dumpster fire, including us, like, we'll be honest, because that's our show. But it has been quite the surprise and eye-opener. Especially if you look at a team like Philadelphia, which, I mean, he was a little higher on than most people, even though I don't get it because that team on paper is just disgusting. But Philadelphia has shown us that even if you have a bunch of injuries and you don't have the most talent on your team, with a good coach and hard work ethic, you can still get wins.
Hey, why are you talking whack about my Philadelphia Flyers?
They're bad.
I love that team.
They're bad. They're bad, but they're starting good, so you got to give them props.
No, I mean,
They're definitely not tanking.
Yeah, they're definitely not taking. The coach will not allow that because John Torella is a winner.
He is a winner. He has a winning culture.
Exactly. And then one of the teams that really surprised me is Arizona Coyotes. You know, that team was supposed to tank. They were taking Zach Cassian's contract. They were taking a bunch of contracts from other teams, big
Yeah.
contracts, to try to tank. You can clearly tell their intention of that team is to tank. And
Oh, they're doing everything, and they like their GM is not even hiding it.
Yeah.
It is like blatant that he's like, I got to get Bedard or bust, like, kind of attitude.
yeah, and right now they're very competitive on these games right now. It's crazy to see.
Yeah, they don't have the best record to start the year, but you've definitely, if you watch the Coyotes play, they're definitely putting forth an effort. And some of their young guys are actually really performing ahead of time and kind of ruining the GM's plan a little bit. This is why I think, compared to other sports, that hockey doesn't really have a super bad tanking problem. Because sure, a GM can like completely destroy a team, but these are all NHL caliber players out here, and they're still playing so hard that I think that in hockey, you really do tend to get the worst team in hockey. You'll see, like, you'll know the players who are playing the worst, and it's not like they're trying to play bad. And it's like an accurate representation in the lottery, a lot more than, like, say, in basketball or football, where you can kind of see these guys. It's not that they're bad, they're actually trying to be bad and trying to get these picks. But I don't think hockey has as big of a tanking problem, even in a year with generational talent like we have upcoming, as, say, some other sports.
Yeah, and one thing I just thought about, when you finish dead last, it doesn't even guarantee you the first overall pick anyways, right?
No, you
Yeah.
have like a 50% chance
Yeah.
coming dead last.
Yeah.
So the incentive isn't as high as, say, like another sport where you would have a 100% chance.
Yeah, because I remember that one year, the year Carolina got the second overall pick to get drafted Andrei Svechnikov, they moved up like a crap ton of spots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you can always get lucky, but they've actually slightly fixed the draft lottery odds. So it is more heavily weighted for like the top teams now, which is good. Because I do think that like a lot of these teams, like if by the end of this year, Arizona is dead last, it won't be because they didn't put the effort in to try. And if a team like Chicago ends up being there, which I don't know if they will at this point, they kind of look pretty decent with these guys. It's like everyone's on a redemption project.
Yeah.
But if Chicago does happen to finish last, I don't think that fans should be flaming them. This is a thing I've kind of heard from other people, other hockey fans. They're like kind of getting mad at these teams for like intentionally tanking, but I don't really think it's exactly intentionally tanking.
Yeah.
Like I've watched pretty much every one of these bad teams play a few games this year, and the effort is definitely there. No one's taking like shifts off and stuff. Like they're playing their best.
Yeah, because right now the season is early. So right now all the teams feel like they have a chance right now. So I feel like even teams like Arizona and stuff like that, they want to put their best effort. The players especially, generally speaking, players want to win, like we alluded to earlier. So they want to win these hockey games, and they want to see where it goes later. If they have to if they keep losing down the road, then the GM will probably be like, "Yo, you guys got to tank." but as of right now, I feel like.
Yeah, I do think that is. There's something to what Hohen said there with beginning of the year. We also could be seeing this like incredible effort from some of these guys in the first like 20, 25 games, because everyone does feel like they still have a chance at this point. We might start to see signs of tanking potentially when we get to like game 60 of the season. And that's where it could be kind of like a little like, it's on the line, like it's borderline, right?
Yeah, because every year is like this. In the first 10 games of the season, first 20 games of the season, a lot of players are overperforming, right?
It's true. Yeah, we've seen some ridiculously high numbers from players you wouldn't expect this year. There's a bunch of players who are like way over expectation.
Yeah, so I believe what Arizona is doing, for example, is the GM is purposely tanking. So they want to put the crappiest roster available.
Yeah,
right?
no, for sure.
Yeah, just to hope that, because the GM knows that the players they want to win. They're not losers. They want to win.
Yeah.
So so that's why they're like, we're gonna have the highest chance if we just put up the crappiest. Highest chance in getting a high draft pick if we just have like a crappy roster.
Oh yes, and the crazy part is some of these guys have really good prospects in the system, like a team like Arizona, and they bury their prospects in the AHL. For an example,
Cooley.
Well, Cooley's not going to play this year. They're going to continue his development, which I'm fine with because he probably could use another year of seasoning. But a guy like Victor Soderstrom, who's already over 20 years old, and they keep him in the AHL, it just seems to me that they're purposely doing it, like the GM, of course, purposely, because it's not the coach or the players. They're doing their best. But the GMs are like stashing some of these players down because they're like, no, it's okay. You don't have to be good this year. Wait till next year. It's kind of a little cheesy how they do that. But I guess that's the biggest difference between like a GM's point of view and like their mindset going into a season versus the mindset of like the actual team itself.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. I mean, it's times like this, it really shows players' loyalty to a team, especially like Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews. Like, these guys want to stay in Chicago for some reason with that bad of a roster. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, Patrick Kane, even though he has like probably everyone and their dog asking for his services, he doesn't want to be traded right now as of yet. And he wants to ride this thing out as long as he can because he thinks the team's still competitive. That just goes to show like a hockey player's mindset and how competitive they really are.
Yeah, good on Patty Kane. He's one of my favorite players. So, yeah.
No, he's an all-timer.
Yeah, he's a better example because Arizona doesn't have any players that won cups,
they really
right?
haven't had that kind of caliber.
Those two players have won cups, so it's a good example. I think.
For sure.
Yeah. So it must be weird for them in particular to see their best friends get traded away, like the Brinkett. Like,
they're pissed. I'm sure they're pissed about that.
Like
they probably had no say in that.
Yeah, like a 40-goal scorer, we'll just trade him for peanuts.
And then you're like, sorry, you have to make Max Domi a star now. Sorry.
It's crazy.
It's kind of unfair, honestly, to the guy.
Max Domi was like a fourth liner on the Carolina Hurricanes last year, and then now he's all of a sudden a first line center on the Chicago Blackhawks. It's crazy.
Yeah, it goes to show really how far that some of these GMs have gone.
Andreas Athanasiou was like a third line winger on LA Kings, and now he's the first line winger on this team.
But he's scoring goals again.
I know, it's crazy.
There's so many players on these bottom like 4 or 5 teams that we projected at the beginning of the year that are having like insane starts to the year. Like these I don't want to say no name players, that's maybe rude, but these lesser known players that are absolutely popping off right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy stuff to witness, man.
Yeah, we'll see where this goes. Well, I think it's just early in the season and all the teams feel like they have a chance right now, but I think it will die off. I feel like eventually some teams will eventually tank.
Yeah, I feel like we should
Yeah.
save any of the actual tanking talk, like fans and stuff, until we get to like halfway or 2/3 of the way through the season. Because that's when you really see kind of the players start to decide to take their foot off the gas. As of right now, I wouldn't say we've seen it at all.
No, not at
None
all.
of the teams have looked like they're purposely tanking, which was a big concern, by the way. A lot of people all around the hockey world were concerned because this year, as we put in our last video, is so unbelievably stacked in this draft. Like, this is one of the best drafts ever, best like top 3 ever. There was a lot of incentive for everyone to try to be bad this year. And really, there's not been that many super bad teams. Like, even the Ducks, who are awful, they beat Toronto. Does that look like a team that's tanking?
Arizona beat Toronto.
Yeah, these are teams that are supposed to be bottom 3,
Yeah.
and they're beating teams that were like top 5 last year.
Maybe Toronto's trying to tank.
Well, that might be for another video, but they could be at this rate. They look pretty bad. They're making me look pretty stupid. But yeah, no, it's definitely something to see, and I kind of do look forward to the rest of this year to see if this does evolve, and if it does, you'll be hearing from us. But until then, guys, we're gonna leave you for now, and if you haven't watched our last video on the rookies, don't miss it. All right.
It's a good video.
It's a good video,
We'll
guys.
see you in the next video.
All right.
Take care. Bye.